Hello, everybody. It's good to see you guys again. Today, we are going to be starting a new lesson, actually a new module. You guys took the Module 11 quiz on Friday. Well, you should have anyway. If you haven't yet, you got to make sure you go back and get that done right away. Some of you have asked about doing retakes for those quizzes. I wasn't originally going to let you do retakes, but I think I will. Some of you didn't do very good. So if you do decide that you want to retake it, let me know. Send me an email, and I will give you instructions on how we can get you to retake it. Okay? So with that being said, I do want to discuss or kind of start the lesson. I'm going to make this kind of a quick video. This lesson is about one of the most famous math theorems out there. And that theorem is called the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it here. Switch over to my PowerPoint view here. Here we go. All right, so our objective for today is to be able to prove the Pythagorean theorem and use it to solve problems. Okay, now what I want you to do is in your notes, I really hope that you are going to be taking notes, because like I said before, any notes that you take during these e-learning lessons, I'm going to let you use those notes on any quizzes or tests. And really, that's not out of the normal for you guys. I always let you guys use your notes on tests and quizzes. So I would really encourage you to take notes on these lessons just like we do in class. Okay, so first thing I want you to do is I want you to write down this diagram right here, and I want you to write down this formula. Okay, and title it the Pythagorean theorem that's shown right here. Now it says, in a right triangle, the two sides that form the right angle are the legs. So you can see right here in the triangle, we've got this leg right here and this leg right here. Together they form this right angle. Okay, the upright and then the bottom side of the triangle, those are called the legs. Okay, now keep in mind that this theorem only works in right triangles. Okay, and you know it's a right triangle if it has this little box thing here in the corner. That means it's a 90-degree angle. Okay, so this theorem only works in right triangles. So what it's saying is that the two sides that form the right angle are the legs, and then the side opposite the right angle is the funny word right here. This is called the hypotenuse. Okay, so basically the diagonal side of the right angle, or of the right triangle, is called the hypotenuse. Okay? Now, in a right triangle, the sum of the squares of the lengths of the legs is equal to the square of the length of the hypotenuse. Basically, if A and B are legs and C is the hypotenuse, then A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So like, we can say that this leg right here is side A, this leg is side B, the hypotenuse is always C. Okay, so basically we know that A squared plus B squared equals C squared. That's the Pythagorean theorem. It's very easy to remember. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay, it's not hard to remember. It's one of the most famous theorems in math. Okay, now let me show you how we might use this Pythagorean theorem, because there are some practical applications. Okay, so first, it says using the Pythagorean theorem. You can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the side of a right triangle when you know the lengths of the other two sides. So like, for example, here we've got a right triangle right here. Two sides are given, but we are missing the length of the third side. But since we have this Pythagorean theorem, A squared plus B squared plus C squared, we know this is a right triangle. We can use this theorem to figure out what the length of this missing side is. Now, this missing side, this is the diagonal side of the right triangle. This is can you guess which side this is? Is it a leg or a hypotenuse? Since this is the diagonal, this is the hypotenuse, which means that this is length. This is C here. Okay. So now the legs can be A or B. It doesn't matter which one is which. Either one works. So let's just say that this one is A and this one is B. Okay. Again, it doesn't matter which leg is A or which one's B. The thing that does matter is that the hypotenuse is always C. Okay. So first thing we want to do is we want to substitute into the formula. Okay. So for A squared, we're going to do 24 squared. Okay. Then we're going to do plus. For B squared, we're going to do 7 squared. Okay, because B is 7, so 7 squared. And then C is what we're missing, so I'm going to keep this. I'm going to leave this as C squared. This is what we're going to try and solve for. We're going to try and solve for C here. Okay. All right, so 24 squared. I'm going to have to get my calculator out here for this. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Okay, 24 squared is 24 times 24, which is 576. So 576. Okay, 7 squared isn't too bad. 7 times 7, that's 49, equals C squared. Okay. And now we want to add like terms. So 576 plus 49. So 576 plus 49 is equal to 625. And that's equal to, still equal to C squared on the right side. Okay, now we have what C squared is equal to now, but I don't want to know what C squared is equal to. I want to know what C is equal to, because that's going to give me the length of this diagonal side. Now when you have C squared, normally when we're solving for a variable we do inverse operations. So we want to do the opposite of what's happening. Well here, what's happening here is that we've got a C being squared. The inverse or the opposite of squared is to take the square root. So what we want to do is we want to take the square root of both sides here. By taking the square root of C squared, that's going to leave us with just C instead of C squared. So what we want to know is we want to know that C is equal to the square root of 625. So the square root of 625 is equal to 25. Which means that this side length, the one that we're trying to find, is 25 inches. Okay? Now it's important to know that the hypotenuse, let me clear out all this writing here. The hypotenuse, the diagonal right here, is always going to be the longest side of the right triangle. Okay? Since this is 25, it's longer than 7. And it's longer than 24, it is the longest side. That's exactly what we want. If you ever get a leg that's longer than the hypotenuse, then that means you did something wrong. Okay? The hypotenuse is always the longest side. All right, let's look at the second example here. Here, we're given a leg, we're given the hypotenuse, but what we're missing is the other leg. Okay, so here, instead of solving for C, now we're going to solve for either A or B. Again, now the legs, you can plug in for A or B. It doesn't matter which one. Okay, so let's just say that we'll plug 12 in for A. Let's say that this is A, this is B, and this is C. Remember, the hypotenuse is always C. Okay, so we'll say that this is going to be 12 squared, right? We said that 12 is A, so 12 squared. B is what we're trying to solve for. So we're going to do 12 squared plus B squared. We can't plug anything in for B because that's what's missing. And then for C squared, we're going to do 15. So 15 squared. All right, now we're going to use our calculators. 12 squared is 144 plus B squared equals 15 squared. 15 squared is 225. Okay, Now we want to try and get b by itself. So first we want to get rid of this 144 by subtracting it from both sides. That cancels it out there, and now we'll subtract it on this side as well. So now we have b squared equals 225 minus 144. Okay, some of you can probably do that in your head. Some of you may need to plug that into a calculator, but 225 minus 144 is 81. Okay, now, again, to solve for b, we don't care what b squared is. We want to know what b is, because that's going to give us the length of this side. So we want the square root then of both sides. The square root of 81, b is equal to 9. So this side length is 9 centimeters. Okay? All right. What I want you to do is I want you to pause the video. Pause the video, and I want you to see if you can do 4 and 5 now on your own. Okay, you're going to use the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, take time, pause the video. I want you to see if you can come up with the correct answer on your own. All right, hopefully you paused it. If you haven't paused it, pause it now and go do it. Okay, but let's go ahead and solve this. So for this first one, number 4, let me clear out all these writing. So number 4, which side are we missing here? We have a side length, or we've got a leg here. We've got another leg here, but we're missing the hypotenuse. We're missing c. So we're going to plug in 30 for a, 30 squared. We'll plug in 40 for b, so 30 squared plus 40 squared equals c squared. Okay, 30 squared is 900. 40 squared is 1600 equals c squared. 900 plus 1600 is 2500 equals c squared. And now we want to take the square root of both sides. Okay, so the square root of 2500, let me just check that real quick. Is 50. So for the missing side for number 4, you should have had 50. Okay? All right, let me just clear out all this. For number 5, okay, we're given a leg and we're given a hypotenuse, and we're missing this side leg right here. We'll call that b. So we'll say 40 is our a, so 40 squared plus b squared equals 41 squared. Now again, you could have called this side a. We could have said that 40 is b, so you could have done a squared plus 40 squared equals 40. That doesn't really matter. Okay, again, the legs, it can be a or b. Okay, so 40 squared, again, is 1600 plus b squared equals 41 squared. 41 squared is 1,681. And now we'll subtract 1600 on both sides. We're running out of room here, so I'm going to continue it over here. So b squared then is equal to 1681 minus 1600, which is 81. And again, we're going to take the square root of both sides to get rid of our square, and that's b equals square root of 81, which is 9. So for this side, you should have had a side length of 9. Okay? So hopefully you took some time to work out each of these problems. Your assignment for this lesson is to go on to Edulastic, and I want you to do the 12.1 homework, which has been assigned for you there. Okay. Now, you don't have any lesson tomorrow, so because of the new schedule, if you haven't seen it yet, you're doing e-learning on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Okay, so the next lesson isn't going to be until Wednesday. So you have today and tomorrow to complete this assignment. Okay, so if you have any questions, do not hesitate to email me. Also, remember, if you want to retake that quiz from Friday, make sure you email me as well. Okay, good luck. Again, if you have any questions on this, make sure to let me know. Bye.